their message is delivered, it is startling the amount of difference between somebody like Natasha Cloud. And by the way, if the majority of these players in this league conducted themselves in the manner that Caitlin Clark does, the ratings would be a lot better in this league.
Business is booming. That's Caitlin Clark on national television, selling the WNBA's future with the polish of a seasoned executive, confident, optimistic, professional. But here's what makes this fascinating. While she's talking about expansion teams and sold-out arenas, her teammates are on social media threatening to burn it all down. Same league, same negotiations, completely different approach. And the contrast tells us everything about the civil war happening inside the WNBA Players Union right now.
To Cloud.
Honestly, I'm just kind of like upset, frustrated, all of us. And in a lot of ways, just like disgusted with the W and how they're handling this and their lack of value, their lack of worth for us, their lack of even trying to attempt to move the needle with us. Like, we know what is on the horizon. We know in 2 years our TV deal is up and there's a new TV deal that's going to come that they're not even putting on the table for us. The percentages, if we actually told you the percentages of what they're giving, that they're like sending to us, it would absolutely piss y'all off. Mm-hmm. So like, just know when we are standing firm in our feet and 10 toes down, there is a reason and we will not move.
That's Natasha Cloud 3 days earlier. Listen to the tone, the frustration, the barely contained anger at league ownership. She's talking about percentages that would absolutely piss y'all off and warning the WNBA that players won't move until the league moves first. It's confrontational, it's personal, and it sounds nothing like what Caitlin Clark just said about the exact same negotiations. Now, both of these players want better pay. Both want improved working conditions. Both are negotiating the same collective bargaining agreement. But the delivery, it's not just different. It's from completely different universes. And that gap might be the biggest problem facing the WNBA right now.
The biggest moments the WNBA has ever seen. Looking forward into the future, what would you like to see happen as you come to a negotiation?
Well, honestly, I don't think it's just a big moment for the WNBA. I think all of women's sports, I think this is one of the biggest moments we've ever had. So, I feel very confident that we're going to get something done, and that's because we're in this moment because of the product we put on the floor. So we need to be able to continue to do that, and I know everybody's working really hard. There's a meeting tomorrow that's super important, and I truly do believe we're going to get something done here in the next couple of weeks. But like you said, I mean, there's a lot of boxes that we still need to check. We've added two new teams. I mean, there's going to be more players than ever, and then we have to get into free agency, then have a normal draft as well. So there's a lot of things left to do, but I really do feel confident that both sides are going to reach a deal here soon.
Yeah, draft slated for April 13th, but the growth of the league has been so much. I mean, can you just help us to understand the transition this league is going on right now?
I mean, it's incredible, and I remember my first WNBA game when I was a young girl. I went to the Minnesota Lynx when they had their dynasty with Maya Moore, and they were playing the Seattle Storm, and now basically any arena you go to, it's sold out. We're adding 2 teams. We're up to 14 now, and then hopefully getting to 18 in the next couple of years. So, business is booming, and that's a really good thing, and we kind of just got to keep meeting the moment. The talent's getting better and better. You see it at the college level coming into the professional game, too. So I feel very fortunate, and hopefully I have a long career ahead of me as well.
Watch Caitlin break down the league's growth here. She's talking about attending Minnesota Lynx games as a kid during their dynasty with Maya Moore. She's highlighting sold-out arenas. She's emphasizing that business is booming, and they need to keep meeting the moment. Everything about this response is collaborative. It's about partnership, about both sides working together, because the product on the floor is what created this opportunity. Compare that framing to Natasha Cloud, saying, "We will not move until y'all move," while staring directly into the camera. One sounds like a negotiation. The other sounds like a hostage situation.
Remember when the players voted for the ability to go on strike? This was what, a month ago maybe? They all met and they all had a vote, and there were 3 players. I think we figured out there was 3 players that did not vote yes for a potential strike. I would love to know if she's one of them. Okay, now today is the big meeting. I'm sure I will have some news about that potentially later in the day. Big meeting between the WNBA/NBA owners and the Players Union.
Here's the context that makes this matter. The WNBA Players Union voted on strike authorization about a month ago. Out of the entire league, only 3 players voted against giving the union power to strike. We don't know officially who those 3 players were, but after watching Caitlin Clark on this broadcast, you have to wonder if she was one of them. Because listen to how she talks about the upcoming meeting between players and ownership. She says she feels very confident they're going to get something done. She emphasizes that both sides are working really hard. There's urgency, yes, but it's about getting on the court for the expansion teams and the draft in April. Not about leverage, not about percentages, not about making the league move first.
But she was really good. Rhodes, did you watch the game? No, point of fact, I didn't. I actually watched Caitlin Clark on the pregame show after a long, drawn-out all-star reveal, I guess, is what was happening. I was like, what are we doing? Can we get to Caitlin Clark here? She was great. She was fantastic. Somebody give her a step stool or something. I mean, wow. It was pretty visually jarring seeing the height difference between her and Reggie Miller and Carmelo Anthony, but it didn't matter. It didn't matter. It was really good. She did a very good job.
The host even sets her up for it, asks directly what she wants to see happen in negotiations as they head into this critical meeting. And Caitlin doesn't take the bait, doesn't launch into grievances, doesn't talk about what the league owes players. Instead, she reframes the entire question. She calls this one of the biggest moments in women's sports history. Says they're in this position because of the product they put on the floor, so they need to keep putting that product on the floor. Then she pivots to logistics, 2 new teams, more players than ever. Free agency, the draft scheduled for April 13th. There's a lot of boxes to check, and the clock is ticking. It's a masterclass in messaging. She acknowledged the stakes without creating antagonism. She centered the conversation on basketball, not battles with ownership, and she projected confidence in a resolution without demanding surrender from the other side.
But, I mean, the stark difference in delivery and like one's got animosity, the other one doesn't. She did a hell of a job last night. Hell of a job. Reggie Miller, what was his comparison to Caitlin? I mean, Carmelo got it right. He said Luka. You guys know I've said Steph Curry and Larry Bird. Talking about comparisons to Caitlin's game. Reggie's getting drug over that, by the way. Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out.
Now here's where this gets really interesting. The commentator in this video makes a point that's been staring us in the face this entire season. He says, if the majority of WNBA players conducted themselves the way Caitlin Clark does, the ratings would be a lot better. More people would watch, the league would be more valuable. And he's not wrong. Look at the numbers. Caitlin Clark games drew 3 million viewers multiple times this season. The WNBA Finals without her. Back down to traditional numbers, the difference isn't just her basketball skills, it's her entire presentation. She's likable. She's accessible. She doesn't make casual fans feel like they're intruding on something they don't deserve to watch. But here's the uncomfortable truth that nobody in the league wants to say out loud. A significant portion of the WNBA's veteran players have spent years cultivating the exact opposite image. Confrontational, dismissive of new fans, suspicious of anyone who wasn't there before the Caitlin Clark era. And now that those new fans have arrived and the money is starting to flow, those same players are negotiating as if they built this moment themselves. So let's talk about what's actually happening in these CBA negotiations, because the gap between Caitlin's approach and the union's approach reveals a fundamental disagreement about leverage. The WNBA has already offered a massive pay increase. We're talking about doubling or potentially tripling salaries for many players. The average salary would jump significantly. Top players would see even bigger gains. By any historical measure, this is a substantial offer. The league is acknowledging the growth and putting real money on the table. But the union, led by players like Natasha Cloud and union president Nkeka Agwamike, is holding out for more. Specifically, they want a higher percentage of revenue. They want the WNBA to commit to a revenue-sharing model similar to what NBA players get, and they're willing to delay the season, disrupt expansion, and potentially strike to get it. Now here's where Caitlin Clark's perspective becomes crucial. She keeps emphasizing that they're in this moment because of the product on the floor. That's not just a nice phrase, it's a strategic argument. She's saying the leverage comes from playing basketball, not from threatening not to play basketball. The growth happened because people wanted to watch them play. So the path to more growth, and therefore more money, is to keep playing. The counter-argument from the union is that ownership will never voluntarily give players their fair share. That without pressure, without the threat of a strike, the league will lowball them forever. That this moment of maximum leverage, right when the WNBA is exploding in popularity, is exactly when they need to push hardest. Both arguments have merit, but the optics are wildly different. Caitlin sounds like someone building something. The union sounds like someone tearing something down to rebuild it better. And to casual fans who just started watching because of Caitlin Clark, guess which message resonates more? Here's what the union doesn't seem to understand. The new WNBA audience isn't coming from the same place as the traditional WNBA audience. The longtime fans understood the struggle. They knew about playing overseas, they knew about tiny salaries and commercial flights, and playing in half-empty arenas. They were invested in the social justice component and the fight for recognition. But the Caitlin Clark fans, a lot of them are just basketball fans. They watched her in college because she was must-see television. They followed her to the WNBA because they wanted to see what she'd do next. They don't have the same emotional investment in the league's historical struggles. They just want to watch good basketball. So, when they see Natasha Cloud staring into a camera saying, "We will not move until y'all move," it doesn't inspire solidarity. It creates confusion. Wait, the league just offered you way more money, and you're still threatening to strike? The arenas are sold out, and you might cancel the season. You're mad about percentages when most of us don't even know what you're currently making. This is the messaging problem. And Caitlin Clark is the only prominent player who seems to recognize it. Think about her appearance on this NBA pregame show. She's standing next to Reggie Miller and Carmelo Anthony, absolutely dwarfed by them physically. The height difference is almost comical, but she doesn't let it faze. She's confident, articulate, knowledgeable. She talks about the WNBA's growth with genuine enthusiasm. She makes the league sound like something you'd want to be part of. That's the product the WNBA should be selling. Not grievance, not struggle, not "we won't move until you move." Just pure basketball excellence, wrapped in professionalism and accessibility. But instead, the dominant narrative from the players' union is confrontation, and it's not just Natasha Cloud. Multiple players have gone on social media to talk about how disrespected they feel, how the league doesn't value them, how they're being lowballed despite record growth. The message is consistent: we're victims of a system that refuses to pay us fairly. Caitlin's message is the opposite: we're partners in something historic, and we need to keep building it together. So, which approach is right? Well, that depends on what you think the WNBA's biggest challenge is right now. If you think the biggest challenge is getting ownership to share more revenue, then the union's aggressive approach makes sense. Apply maximum pressure. Threaten the seas, force ownership to choose between losing everything or giving players a bigger piece. But if you think the biggest challenge is sustaining this growth and converting casual Caitlin Clark fans into permanent WNBA fans, then her approach makes more sense. Don't disrupt the momentum. Don't create reasons for casual fans to tune out. Take the substantial offer on the table, get back on the court, and use another successful season to negotiate even better terms next time. The fascinating thing is that Caitlin has the most leverage of anyone in the league, and she's using it the least aggressively. She could absolutely threaten to sit out. She could make demands. She could say no Caitlin Clark, no WNBA growth, and ownership would have to listen. But she's not doing that. She's doing the opposite. She's publicly expressing confidence in a resolution and emphasizing the importance of playing basketball. Why? Maybe because she understands something the union doesn't. Her value isn't just in her leverage over ownership, it's in her relationship with fans. And fans don't want to hear about labor disputes. They want to watch her play basketball. Every day this negotiation drags on. Every social media post about percentages and disrespect, every threat about not moving until the league moves first. all of it chips away at the goodwill she's built. The casual fan who tuned in to watch Caitlin Clark play basketball doesn't care about revenue sharing models. They just want to know if there's going to be a season. And here's the really uncomfortable question nobody wants to ask: what happens if the union pushes too hard and actually cancels or delays the season? What happens to all those new fans who just discovered the WNBA? Do they wait patiently for the labor dispute to resolve, or do they just move on to something else? The WNBA has been trying to break through to mainstream audiences for 27 years. They finally did it. The breakthrough happened. The cinemas are sold out. Ratings are up. Merchandise is flying off shelves. And the Players Union is seriously considering disrupting all of that momentum over percentage points in a revenue-sharing formula. Caitlin Clark is the only one saying, wait, let's not screw this up. Let's take the win. Let's get back on the court and keep building. And for that, she's probably being criticized behind closed doors by union leadership as not being committed enough to the cause. But maybe she's the only one who understands what's actually at stake. This isn't just about this contract. It's about whether the WNBA can sustain this growth, whether these new fans stick around, whether this moment becomes a permanent elevation or just a temporary spike that collapses back to historical norms. The answer to those questions will determine what the next contract looks like, and the contract after that. If the league keeps growing, players will have even more leverage in 3 years. But if this growth stalls because they disrupted the momentum with a labor dispute, they'll have less leverage than they do right now. So when Caitlin Clark says they need to keep meeting the moment, she's not being naive. She's being strategic. The moment is now. The fans are watching. The opportunity is here. Don't waste it fighting over percentages when you could be building something that makes those percentages worth so much more. That's the fundamental disagreement. And it's why watching Caitlin on that NBA pregame show, talking about sold-out arenas and expansion teams with genuine excitement, feels so different from watching Natasha Cloud stare into a camera and declare that players won't move until ownership moves first. One is playing the long game. The other is playing for maximum leverage right now. Time will tell which approach was right. But if you're a casual WNBA fan who just wants to watch Caitlin Clark play basketball, there's only one of those messages that makes you feel good about the league's future. And it's not the one threatening to shut everything down. So here's the question I'll leave you with. If you were running the WNBA Players Union right now, which approach would you take? Caitlin's collaborative optimism, or the union's confrontational demands? Because you can't do both, and the choice you make will determine whether this growth continues or whether the WNBA just fumbled the biggest opportunity in league history. Let me know in the comments what you think happens next.